Okay, and we are live. Welcome to Fertility Fridays with Sister Freya. I'm Sister Freya. I am a certified doula, which is like a birth companion and postpartum support. I'm a trained breastfeeding educator. I am a fertility strategist, a certified herbalist, and a wellness coach. So I'm so grateful that you are joining me today for this fertility talk. Today I'm going to be talking about depression and anxiety as it relates to trying to conceive. This is a Q&A type of live that I'm doing. So you can DM me your questions, or you can email me your questions, and I will be able to include it in next week's talk. My goal is to come to you all every Friday with new content and with new information and inspiration as you journey through your fertility process. So today's affirmation, last week's affirmation was my body is striving for optimal wellness. Today's affirmation is I dig within myself to access inner peace, joy, light, and creativity. I dig within myself to find inner peace, joy, serenity, peace, and tranquility. I know that I gave you two different variations of the affirmation, but you get the drift. Basically, what I'm encouraging you to do is to dig within yourself to find the joy and to find peace and to find serenity. Because when we depend on outside forces, for that, that's when we get into not being able to have complete control of our emotions, because our emotions are being controlled by others and by what other people do and other type of stimuli. So we want to dig within ourselves to get that peace and that joy. Are you drinking your water today? I hope you are. I got my water. And this is a glass bottle, and drinking from a glass bottle is very important on your fertility journey, because plastics actually can mimic estrogen in the body. And a lot of times people will be estrogen dominant, and a lot of times people will be estrogen dominant, and that will affect your hormones negatively and can hinder your fertility process. It can hinder you having a healthy weight. It can hinder you having emotional balance, and it also has toxins in your body. So definitely get you a glass bottle if you don't already have one, and drink the best quality water that you have access to. There's levels to it. So I meshed a bunch of questions together regarding depression, because that's probably one of the #1 feedbacks that I get from women who reach out to me and they are trying to conceive and they're not able to, is that they feel depressed, they feel frustrated, they feel there can be a multitude of other emotions within that depression. They can feel like they're letting their partner down. They can feel like their womanhood is in question, because they have linked being a woman with conceiving a child, being pregnant. It's something that they've always wanted to do. They've always dreamed about being a mother. They've always, from the time that they were playing with their baby dolls, they've always wanted to be a mom. They've always imagined themselves being a mom. And so when that is not able to come to fruition in the time period that they want, that's when sometimes the depression can set in. Also, there could be other situations in their life, and sometimes it's just easier to just focus on one thing. So they may be unfulfilled in other areas, like they may be unfulfilled with their job, maybe even in the relationship. There may be work that needs to be done within the relationship. And what I've seen is that instead of people looking at the relationship holistically and all the different facets and all the different things that have to do with being in a relationship, whether it be long-term partnership, a lifetime commitment, or marriage, when fertility is an issue, they kind of want to just focus on the fertility. Well, we're not happy because we don't have a child. We're not intimate because we don't have a child. We haven't progress with the next level of our life, like buying, maybe the living situation, the transportation situation, vacations, employment. Well, I'm not, getting the employment I want because I don't have my child and there's no reason for me to do it yet. I'm not happy because I don't have a child. And so the couple will sometimes just focus on the fertility issues and not deal with the relationship holistically. And of course, if that's the case, if there's something that you are focusing on, that this is the one thing that will make me happy. And if you don't have that one thing, then yes, you can definitely feel depressed. And that can go for a multitude of things and not even just fertility. So, excuse me. So fertility is something that, like I tell my pregnancy clients, I tell my fertility clients the exact same thing. When it comes to our wellness in conception and with pregnancy and getting through delivery and with breastfeeding, think about things as an 80-20. 80% of this whole process has to do with the decisions and the choices that you make. What you eat becomes your cells, and those cells become your organs. It becomes your blood. It becomes your tissue, right? So the quality of your tissue, of your blood, of your organ systems is directly related to what you choose to eat. So if you want a liver made of Twinkies, if you want a spleen that is made of hot Cheetos, if you want a uterus that is made of Kentucky Fried Chicken, then that's what you eat, then that's what you will get. So you have a lot of choice. You have a lot of decision-making power. You have a lot of dominion over exactly what type of human being you're going to be. If you think about it, you're a new person every 7 years. So all of your cells, your skin, your organ systems, all the tissues in your body are all being replaced and regenerated with what you choose to consume on a physical level, on a spiritual level, and on a mental level. So you get to decide what type of tissue your uterus is. You get to decide the tissue of your fallopian tubes and of your ovaries and what your ovum will be nourished with. You get to decide that. So that's where I want to talk about this 80-20 rule. So you have control over that. You have control over your activity level. You have control over your mental state of mind to some degree as far as what you decide to put in. Different thoughts come, different thoughts go, but you get to decide which thoughts you want to give energy to. So when thoughts come up that are negative, they're there. So we don't have to fight with them. But then once the negative thoughts come into your sphere, then you get to decide what you want to do with that thought. You get to decide that. You have that power. That's that 80%. That's that 80%. Then there's this 20%, that's divine, that we have no control over, that biological, universal, spiritual, divine, there's this whole aspect that we as humans, we don't have control over it. So sometimes we want to just focus on the 20%, and that's where the depression can come, because we make up all kinds of stories about why it's not happening. And these stories lead to more depression. Stories I hear is, thoughts that could possibly run through your head. I'm not worthy of a child. God doesn't love me. A lot of guilt. I've heard from women, I was promiscuous when I was in college, or, I was promiscuous when I was in high school, and, I've had an abortion, I have taken birth control, I have done this, I did that. And they feel a tremendous amount of guilt about the choices that they've made in the past, which can make them feel depressed. Also, I've heard women feel guilty about waiting. Well, I had an opportunity when I was 25, but I was focusing on my career. I was making a lot of money. I was traveling. I was having fun. I was dating around, and I just kept waiting, and I kept waiting, and I kept waiting, and I kept waiting, and I could get pregnant because I had been pregnant before. And now I'm finally married. I'm 38. I'm finally I'm finally settled down, and I'm ready to conceive, but I can't. So they want to beat themselves up because of decisions that they made in the past because of their decision to make. But the truth of the matter is, what I always try to read out people to understand is that we can all lament on decisions that we made in the past. But the truth of the matter is, you made the best decision that you could, given the information and the circumstances that you had in that moment. So just reflect on that for a moment. You made the best decision that you could at the time when you made that decision. So you don't benefit yourself from beating yourself up that you were promiscuous in college or high school, or you had I've had people who've had undetected STDs for multiple years, and that has caused scar tissue in the fallopian tubes and whatnot, and they want to beat themselves up about that. The truth of the matter is, the most important thing that you can do in this journey, in this process, is to forgive yourself. It is to forgive yourself. You have to make peace with where you were, and to just love yourself through it. Because should you have a child, your child is going to make mistakes too. You know, your child is going to disappoint you. Your child is going to do things that you taught them the right way, and they just go and do the wrong thing anyway. So the grace and the compassion and the forgiveness that you will bestow upon your child, you need to begin with bestowing that upon yourself and loving yourself and forgiving yourself for mistakes, perceived mistakes that you've made in the past, so that you don't, because if you beat yourself up, because nobody is better at beating, like nobody can hurt you the way you can hurt you. Because you know your vulnerabilities, you know what you feel guilty about, you know what you feel regret, what you have regret about. So nobody can hurt you like you hurt you. So it's very important that you forgive yourself. That's not saying it was right or was wrong. It's not passing judgment on what was. You are where you are now. So you have to decide, well, what do I want to do with my sexual health now? You know, I went through this period of time where maybe I was promiscuous. Maybe I didn't take care of myself. Maybe I did take birth control. Maybe I did do this and that. And here I am today in the present moment, and this is my current situation. This is the current situation of my uterus. This is the current situation of my fallopian tubes. This is the current situation of my body. This is where I am right now. What do I want to do going forward that will shape the rest of this process? Because if you stay in the pain, you're not going to get what you want. You are not going to get what you want if you stay in the pain, if you relive all those bad decisions. You replay it over and over and over in your head. I should have did this. I should have did that. I should have married this guy. I shouldn't have been with that guy. That guy was a loser. This guy gave me STD, this, that, and the third. I'm such a this. I'm so bad. I'm so horrible. You will feel depressed. You will feel depressed. And I'm not, in this moment, I'm not making you wrong. I'm not passing judgment on you, because we as women, we all feel this to some degree. So you are not alone. We all feel pain and guilt about things that we've done in the past, you know, and sometimes even when things are not in our control, we still want to make ourselves wrong in the situation. Sometimes, you know, you did have the best intentions. You were honest with yourself, and maybe you were honest with your partner, and you really are innocent. That doesn't mean that someone can't lie to you. He knew he had chlamydia and he slept with you anyway. You know, don't make yourself wrong in that situation. Just forgive yourself. You don't have to forgive anybody else. I'm not of that belief. You don't have to forgive anybody else. You need to forgive yourself. That's what I want to focus on. You need to focus on forgiving yourself. And with the information that you know right now, and with the resources that you have right now, when you come into the now, that's when you have power. When you come into the present moment, all your power is right now. Because if you astral project yourself back into the past when things are happening to you and you're remembering them, you're just being railroaded, because you can't go back and change anything that has happened in the past. And when you have anxiety and you're thinking about the future and about all the possible wrong, bad, and horrible catastrophic things that can happen, you have no control because you don't know what's going to happen. So the power that you have is when you come into the now. When you come into the now, then that's when you really get to be able to become the driving force in your family, and you get to decide what you want to do. So if you are feeling depressed because month after month your period is coming, right? You're trying to get pregnant, you take a pregnancy test and it's negative, or you start to feel some symptoms, because a lot of times early pregnancy symptoms are the same as early period symptoms. So that's where the pins and needles start. You're like, well, am I feeling bloated because I'm pregnant, or am I feeling bloated because my period is about to start? And it's like the absolute, can be really devastating to a lot of women when they are thinking that, okay, this is going to be my period, or rather, this is going to be a viable pregnancy, and nope, it's your period. So some of the things that you can do is change the way you look at when your period comes, when you are trying to conceive. You can look at it like, oh my gosh, my period is coming, I'm so depressed. Or you could also take it and say, oh my God, I started my period. That means I probably ovulated. That means my body is working. That means my hormones are balanced, because, oh my God, I get a period. So long as you keep having periods, you keep having an opportunity to get pregnant. So that's just a way that you can shift. And then let me just back up a little bit. It's a lot to deal with all of this by yourself. I am a strong advocate for therapy. I don't know anybody who don't need therapy. So I'll do therapy. I do therapy as needed for the past 15 years. So why not have some mental support in this process? Why not have someone that you can go and speak with weekly or bi-weekly about your perceptions, and someone that you can be completely honest with and talk to about this, because you can't get everything from your partner. Men don't always understand. You know what I'm saying? And your girlfriends, they can help you and they can support you, but sometimes you do need a structured environment that you can process through some of this depression or some of the anxiety that you have, and really get to perspective on the mental piece of it. That's a part of the whole journey. And one of the messages that I really want you to take home is that fertility is not a dissection of your reproductive organs, irrespective of the rest of your body, in your mind, and your spirit. It's all connected. It is all connected. So you can't be majorly depressed and be having fertility struggles and expect to conceive. What kind of environment are you having internally, and is that an environment that you want to bring your child into? A lot of times we want to focus on the nursery, we want to focus on strollers and car seats and all this external environment for the child, because, oh, that's so important. What about the first environment? What about the very, very first environment of that child, which is your womb? Let's focus on that environment first. And so if your mind is not in alignment with your spirit, and you're not in good spirits, and you're not healthy, then it's not going to be a good start for your child. So by you nourishing yourself, that is the most precious gift that you can give your child, because you're going to be giving them a balanced womb of a mother who's clear-minded, of a mother who is strong enough to deal with the adversities of life and still persevere through, a mother who is brave enough to confront past mistakes, a mother who's courageous enough to go through the pain so that she can create a good environment within herself. I tell women of this generation, our foremothers have really laid the groundwork for us to do some amazing work. I know we have all kinds of quarrels with our mothers and our grandmothers because they didn't do this right and they didn't do that right. But you know what? They did do right. They got us through alive. And I think that that's pretty darn amazing, considering what they were working with. I think that's pretty darn amazing. And so talking about that matrilineal line, this is an opportunity for you, if you choose to do this work, this mental work, this spiritual work. This is an opportunity for you to change the course of your matrilineal bloodline. This is an opportunity for you to break these chains of depression that's been handed down, trauma, abuse, neglect, lack of understanding, ignorance, pain. This is an opportunity for you to interrupt that pattern. This is a profound opportunity for you to interrupt this pattern. So you can look at it like, well, I should have had my baby sooner, this, that, and the third. You could look at it like that. Or you could look at it like, wow, I have this life experience under my belt at this point in time. I have access to resources that I never had access to before. I have access to information that I've never had access to before. And I have an opportunity now to change the internal dialogue, the internal environment of myself, to really give my child the very best start. And as it pertains to my matrilineal bloodline, I have an opportunity to make a complete shift in what I give this child and how the next 7 generations will come. Because we are at that point right now. We are at that point of not thinking about just today and my own child, but thinking about our grandchildren, thinking about our great-grandchildren and our great-great-grandchildren, and so on and so forth. The next 7 generations. The decisions that we make and how we call forth the beings to be birthed through, how we call forth those beings, the time is now. The time is now. And that's the type of power and the type of opportunity that we have right now. So that's just another way of looking at things. So the biggest takeaway that I would like for you to take with you is loving yourself, being compassionate with yourself, giving yourself a hug. This is another thing I tell my clients, that it's easy to love someone when they're doing everything you want them to do and when everything is going well. That's easy. It's easy to respect and honor something when everything is going perfectly. You know you have a real friend. You know you have somebody that loves you when they can love you in your darkest moments, when they can love you when you mess up and you make a mistake, when they can extend grace to you and forgive you when you make a mistake and you are wrong. That's real love. That's real friendship. That's real familyhood. That's real love. So do that for yourself. When you are feeling down, when you are feeling depressed, when you get a pregnancy test and it's negative and you feel like, what's the point of anything? That's when you really need to go into that love for yourself, compassion for yourself, giving yourself a hug, taking a warm bath, loving yourself through it when you're feeling down and when you're depressed. That's not the time to start running those old records of everything you've ever done wrong in your life. That's not the time for that. It's to nourish yourself physically. Sometimes when your mental is out of whack, you need to love yourself physically. So take a warm bath, eat a nourishing meal, eat a fertility, wellness meal, like a dark green salad, a dark green smoothie, some red raspberry tea, something that's going to nourish you physically. From there, the mental will catch up. You see, the mental will catch up. You don't have to fight with it. You don't have to fight with it. Just do what you can do to love yourself. Your mental will catch up. And the same thing with your mental. Sometimes your mental will be good, but your physical won't. And then you'll be like, you know what? Now I have the motivation to go work out. Now I have the motivation to do something for myself. So both can kind of work to help each other, you know, and that's when you don't have to question God's love for you or question your worthiness to be a woman at that time. That is the time where you go into your faith and you go into being grateful for what you have, you know, and being thankful and praying and being grateful for what it is that you do have, being grateful to wake up in the morning, to be grateful to have another opportunity to try for the next month. You know what I mean? So the mental, the spiritual, and the physical all in alignment to help you work through it. And then having the courage to reach out and get some therapy. You know, it's not a stigma. It's not anything to be ashamed about. It's a great resource that we have now that, you know, our great grandmothers couldn't go to a therapist. So what did they do with their depression? You know, what kind of tools did they have then? So we have it now. We should utilize it. And then finally, the most important thing is, you know, embracing who you are as a woman. A baby does not make you a woman, and it doesn't make you worthy. You were born into this world worthy. Your birthright is worthiness. You don't need a child to validate your womanhood. It does not define your womanhood. You are a woman because of all of these beautiful things. And sometimes you have to break it down and start to cherish every little aspect of yourself, you know, your ankles, your wrist, your jawline, your collarbone, your eyelashes, your hips, your voice, your sway, the way you walk, the way you sit, the way you nurture others, the way you nurture yourself, the way you problem solve, how you love others. There are so many things that make you a woman that have nothing to do with conceiving a child. So sometimes we need to go within those things, and sometimes you have to do one thing at a time, depending on where you are in your journey. If this week all you want to do is focus on your wrist, then do that. You know, and all you want to do is focus on your eyes, then do that. All you want to do is focus on the way you commune with others and the role you are in your family, then do that. Whatever it takes, but you have to honor yourself as a woman and embrace your womanhood and know that you don't have to have a child to be a woman. You don't have to have a child to be a woman. Your womanhood is not defined by your ability to conceive, have a pregnancy, and birth a child. So that's something that is very important to understand, because if you have the subconscious belief that you're not a woman, you're not a real woman until you give your man a baby, then yes, you will be at high risk of feeling some true depression, some very, very dark and deep depression. So we have to deal with that mindset in order to liberate you from that depression. I would love to stay connected with you. So please go to my website and click the link in the bio, click the link in the description, and please leave your email address so that I can notify you of additional fertility talks. If you have questions regarding your fertility journey, please email them to me or DM them to me, and I'll go from there. So peace, light, and love. I'm grateful that we were able to share this time together, and I wish you much abundance and prosperity and internal peace and love. And I'm grateful for your energy, and I'm grateful for you sharing your journey with me. Peace, light, and love. Again, I'm Sister Freya of RootMama, and this ministry is something that that I know it's my calling. So let us stay connected. Let's stay connected. Peace and love.